All right, now that you've got a bunch of shapes and you know how to layer them and order them, now what you're going to do is start thinking about atmospheric color, which is kind of what I was talking about in one of the other videos. So first I'm going to go, just so you can see again, send backwards. So now I need to bring this forwards. Order, bring to front. There we go. So I am bringing some of my things back to the front. So realize when something overlaps something else, one of the things that you want is you need to decide, just like we looked at those artists, how you are going to make your foreground look like a foreground while your background looks like a background. So you will notice in this one big space here of grass, I actually made it into two different shapes. And one of the reasons I did that was so that this shape here looks like is more part of the middle ground, while this part here is part of the foreground. So if I go into that shape, oh, that's cool. I didn't even realize that. If I go into that shape, I can change it to make it a color. Now, if I want to go in here and I want to make it a custom color, it's going to give me a whole lot more options. So I can kind of play with. Now, one thing to realize is the lighter and brighter a color is, the more it's going to look like a foreground color. While the dark, so this kind of area here is going to be more of a foreground color. Colors that are super dark or super light and faded are going to be kind of more your background colors. So I know for me, I'm going to make my background kind of fade out and be lighter. You could also make your background fade out and be darker, just like those things we were talking about. You can also make your colors kind of transparent. So if you look at, see how you can see the layer through it. So you can play with that in here too. So you can also play with, like, this is more of a gray green. So since this is my foreground, I'm going to start there and I'm going to click OK. So now that's looking kind of more grass colored. Now if I click this one, and that's cool. I didn't realize you can go in and alter your little edges. So I'm going to go in and alter some of these edges so it goes back behind this. So that's something else you can do. If you double click on a shape, you can also edit any of the little lines that are wrong. So if I click that shape and now I'm going to go into fill, my custom color that I created last time is already there. So I can go and fill that the exact same color, or I can, click that. Or I can create a new custom color. And because I already clicked on that old custom color, it started me in the same spot. Which if I'm doing something like this grass, where I want this grass to get a little darker, I can go in, or a little, I want it to be a little bit more faded. So I can go in and take that same color and just make it a little bit more faded. So I can pull it a little bit darker. And then click, and I can look and see how now this grass here looks like it's coming forward. Now the other cool thing you can do is if I double click on that, or I click on that and I go back up here and I click add another custom color, I can make that kind of transparent, which means if I go OK, see how now it fades a little bit more and it looks more like the background color. So I can go in, I can make it a little less transparent, and then it fades in a little bit more, so that you can kind of see that. I could even do like another layer here. So the more layers you add with more of these kind of colors in them, the better it's going to end up being. You can also play with gradients. So you could play with, I can make my own custom gradients the same way. So I can start with and see, because I already made those custom colors, they're all showing up down here. So I can start with this one and I can say my angle, so 90, so linear means it's going to go like a line. Radial means it's going to look like kind of there's a light in it. And I can even take that linear and make it come from a corner, so it would look like it's round. So for the hill, I might want to make it a little bit more round. And then I can say, I can go back to my custom color and I can click on this one and change it as a different custom color or a different color. Oh, hold on. Now it won't let me. There we go. And now I can even add here and I can play with where do I want that custom color to be. And then I can even add more stops, so I can make my color fade to something. See how it goes like darker and then lighter? Don't really like that. But let's go back to one of the custom colors I've created and let's try that and see. So see how that's starting to give it a little bit more of a rounded hill shape. So play with gradients and play with your layering. And by the time you're done, your front should be more contrasty. Your back should be less contrasted, depending on what colors you're choosing. That's fine. But you want it to go slowly, so you want to be able to see that your front is your foreground and it stands out, and your back is your background and it fades back. And you should not see any of your original drawing. So everything should be replaced with all these shapes that you're making in Google Drawings.